You are listening to the online London local peer support group meeting recorded Saturday, 22nd of January 2022.
Ishan, welcome. Do you want to tell everyone more about Travel Hands and how it works and just give everyone more details about it?
Yeah, I'd love to. So thank you for inviting me here once again. Travel Hands is an app we're building, which pairs a visually impaired person with a sighted and verified guide to walk together in the similar direction of their journeys. So our company is called VIP World Services, and for us, VIP stands for visually impaired people. And we try to create services for our VIP. Our volunteers or the guides are vetted with enhanced DBS. They are trained with our training online module. And right now the service is operating in London. Our VIP has to pay for the service £3 and £5, depending on the distance and time they require to travel. At the moment, we are serving in most of the boroughs of London, and you can book a journey by calling us to the toll-free number, get registered, and our call center team is always there in the back end to support if there's any issues or problems. So yeah, that's what Travel Hands is in a crux. Maybe I can answer some questions.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. So how does the app work? Like, how do people book the journey, and what can you use the journeys for?
Yeah, so you can book the journey through the app, creating a journey request, or you can call our toll-free number and share your journey request. Like if you want to go for a stroll in the park, if you like to go for an appointment. There are people who have been booking journeys. It varies. It has been like for leisure, for pleasure, or for any appointments or meetings. We need at least 24 hours at the moment to find the right volunteer or the guide. But yeah, sharing a request at least 24 hours helps us to give us ample time. And
yeah, so you mentioned that, but essentially you're booking a volunteer, a sighted volunteer that can help you go to, I don't know, for a walk around the park or walk around in a new borough, perhaps shopping. You said appointments, so any healthcare kind of appointments. You said meetings, so you would it be something that someone can book to go to work?
100%. I mean, see, Travel Hands is like, the user can use it for their purpose. It's just that, like, we provide that outdoor travel assistance, and it could be anything that our VIP needs. A lot of times people have been saying, okay, I wanna go for gym, for example, and they say, I need someone to drop me to the gym and then someone to pick me up. So sometimes the volunteer is happy to stay back. If they're not, then we try to get another volunteer who would help them get to and fro. So in crux, I'd say it's up to the user, the VIP, what they want, and that is communicated with the guides and the volunteer.
Yeah, and I'm assuming the sighted volunteers are DBS checked.
Yeah, they're enhanced DBS checked and trained with our module. We have a quiz which each volunteer has to pass before starting volunteering with Travel Hands. So we make sure that, like, they know what they're doing and they're aware, and I can proudly say that the training module has been appreciated by our users.
Excellent. Let's open it up. Does anyone have any questions or just wants to clarify anything? Feel free to put your hand up or just...
Hello.
I have a question, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, Paulette, and who was the other lady?
It's Permjit, actually. Sorry, I was on mute.
That's all right. So Paulette and then Permjit.
Hi. Is your service accessible to people that need help from the home, or do you have to meet the volunteer at the point of interest?
No, it's definitely available at the door. That's the idea, to provide, like a lot of our VIPs have been saying, going to the tube station, which is 10 minutes walk, for that they have to book a cab or ask someone in the family and friends network and be dependent on their time. And that's what we want to remove. We want to give VIP the independence to say, like, okay, I wanna go XYZ time, and they can ask the volunteer to, like the VIP defines the pickup point, and that's where the volunteer reaches the VIP and picks them up.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Permjit?
Yeah, you're saying there's a cost element. So how do you redeem the money? And how do you assess the actual money for the journey, or, for whatever assistance is requested?
Well, we ask for the money because we're trying to self-sustain the operations of the service. So there's a person in the call center always monitoring the journey. We ask our volunteers to share the GPS location when they are in a journey with a VIP, and just to ensure safety for the person. And then we pay for the enhanced DBS of our volunteers as well. So that cost covers that cost that we charge to VIP covers our expenses here.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? No.
Yes. My name is Sarla. I wanted to know, is your service all over UK, or is it limited to certain areas?
At the moment, Sarla, we are operational in London. But yes, definitely the idea is to grow and expand to all parts of UK. So right now, London.
Is it any area of London?
Well, we have good concentration of volunteers until zone 5, zone 4. I would say until zone 4, the journeys are very much matched. But yes, I mean, we started in May 2021, so we're growing, and COVID hasn't been very kind, so slowly getting the foot in the door, I'd say, and expanding to all areas of London.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
And I think somebody else wanted to come in there.
Yeah, Joe here. I just wanted to say
Joe.
it sounds like a really fantastic service, like a kind of Uber, but specifically for visually impaired people, which is great. What plans do you have to expand and for the future? I'm just interested to know.
Well, we are ensuring that the experience is good for both our users, VIP and the guide. And at the moment, like this year, we want to focus in London. We want to serve more and more VIPs in London, increase our volunteer network, and make mistakes and learn from them here. And then from next year onwards, expand to other parts of UK. It is tempting. Yeah, we have been getting requests from other parts, and people would love it. But I think right now, taking small steps, making mistakes and learning quickly here, and expanding our network in London at the moment for this year. And next year onwards, we're gonna go to Birmingham and Edinburgh to start with.
Interesting.
Hi, Ishan, it's Mark. Sorry, just a quick question. If people wanted to find out a little bit more about your service, where can they download the app from? Where can you get your website, or any other contact information that you can provide for your service so people can find out more?
Oh yes, our website is travelhands.co.uk. But if you Google Travel Hands as well, like SEO, Google has been kind. We are at the top, so the website is accessible. We at VIP World Services, our main goal is to create great experiences for VIP and create accessible solutions. So all our services are accessible. And then we are also active on social media. So if you search for VIP World, you will find our presence in each of those social media platforms, plus the website.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you very much.
And Ishan, if you can just sort of send those links and stuff, we can make sure we can follow it up with the members who have joined today. If they want to find out more or just check out Travel Hands a little bit more.
Oh yes, definitely. I'll definitely email you right away. And thank you. Thanks a lot for these questions. And I hope you'd like. And yes, one more thing. Like the first journey is free. It's a trial journey, so feel free to try it out if you're in London. And any feedbacks, we are very happy to chat.
Hey, what an offer! We're going to talk about maybe potentially meeting face to face, whether it should be our next meeting or in May. Wouldn't it be great if you're a bit thinking, oh, how am I going to get to central London? Use Travel Hands. A bit of a sell there. Ishan, you're more than welcome to stay. If anyone has any questions a little bit later on. But if you do
I've
need
just
to
got a
rush
question. I just had a thought.
Yeah, go on.
Is there any sort of limit on how far you can travel with it?
Very good question. Well, so our volunteers, for what we have found out that a volunteering of up to 3 hours is something that they're happy to do. And we try to match people who are in the local areas rather than, make people travel a lot. I think journeys which are less than 5 kilometers in the radius, that's what has been more appreciated. And that's what we're limiting to as well.
Okay, thank you.
So just say if, someone's based in east of London and they wanted to travel to the west for, I don't know, for a show or whatever it was. Yeah. Would that be denied, or it would just take longer for a volunteer to be matched with you?
Well, it's like this. So there could be 2 scenarios, right? So they would say, I am happy to use the public transport and I need someone to drop me to the tube station and someone to pick me in the tube station in the west area. So that is something we have done. Then, again, like if a volunteer, so we circulate the journey request among our volunteers. And if someone says, yeah, I'm happy to go from east to west with the person and come back, then we match them. So if not, then we try to break the long journey into small bits and find different volunteers to pick and drop.
So there's flexibility.
Yeah, flexibility for the volunteers and the guides. I think that's what is making our volunteers stick to us, because they get that do-good feeling. Plus, it's flexible. They're able to change. They will walk, and we're trying to add incentive rewards from corporates for our volunteers. So yeah, that's something as well that will attract more and more people.
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question as well? Sorry.
Yeah.
If I've missed anything and I'm repeating, what was the price, did you say? And if they're traveling with you, if you are traveling, like in London, you have your free pass. What happens to the volunteer? Do you have to pay for their travel, or how does it work?
No, so the VIP pays £3 for up to 3 hours of volunteer work and £5 in 24 hours in the day. You don't pay for the volunteers' tickets or anything. Travel, yeah. It's we're compensating them. If it's a long journey, we compensate them with the tickets, or we're trying to, as I said, get corporates sponsor journeys and give incentives to our volunteers. So at the moment, we're not compensating them, but we're trying to bring in corporates to contribute in Travel Hands.
Thank you. Sounds like a brilliant idea. Hope you are able to take it further out into the countryside, apart from Birmingham and Edinburgh, because that makes it, like Bhavini said, to come into London, even from wherever you are, then you get from your home to the station, and then the station takes over in assistance, and then in London it helps you to get to wherever. And yeah, it sounds brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ishan? No? Okay. Ishan, like I said, you're more than welcome to stay if any other questions come later.
Sorry.
Go
Sorry,
on.
I have a question for Ishan. You say you do it in the Midlands as well. So you cover, because I'm actually from Birmingham, sorry I was on mute earlier. So you cover the Midlands as well. So it's just a case of downloading the app and just accessing the service. Is that correct?
No. I was saying that at the moment we are active in London.
Right.
In the next year, we would love to expand to Midlands and Edinburgh, possibly.
Excellent. Okay. I might try you out then next month, as I will be coming to London from Houston.
100%, please do.
Will do. Thank you.
Good. Anybody else? I'll wait a little bit longer this time whilst anyone's unmuting. Sorry again, Ishan, feel free to stay in case there's questions later on, but I do understand if you do need to rush off, so I'll leave that up to you. If there isn't any more immediate questions for Ishan, Jessica, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your work with the London National Federation for the Blind Group?
I do indeed. Thank you, Bhavini. Just checking, I did unmute myself.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, brilliant. First thing achieved. There we go. That's a positive start. So thanks for inviting me to speak today. I must say it feels unusual to be the speaker at one of these groups. Normally, throughout my work and volunteering things, I'm looking for speakers to come along. So it's nice to be the other side of things for once and be able to share, a bit about me and my experiences. And yeah, looking back, I particularly never would have thought I'd be talking to a group about what I've achieved with my vision impairment and all the really good things that have come from it. So I have a condition called Bardet-Biedl syndrome, probably still not pronouncing it correctly, or BBS for short. And probably like many of you, it was something I hadn't heard of until about 5 years ago. I was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa when I was about 12. And yeah, it was only through going through the genetic testing to find out if they could work out what gene was causing my visual problems. And it turned out that I didn't have retinitis pigmentosa after all. I had something different, but it still affected the retina. So I'm still in the gang, so it's all right. I'm in. So yeah, when the first way it affected me was, the classic symptoms of night blindness. And yeah, it came as quite a surprise to me that other people could actually see in the dark. I thought that was just normal. And it did explain why I was the one sort of trampling over all the flower beds and suddenly freezing when the lights went off. And yeah, it was the main thing that affected me growing up as a teenager and in my 20s. And yeah, I went through like mainstream education without any real adjustments. And yeah, off I went to university thinking, oh yeah, everything's going to be fine. My eyes are just as they are. But of course, with problems with the retina, things deteriorate gradually. And a lot of the time it was probably getting worse. And I wasn't prepared to accept it and just carried on as if things were okay. And of course, I'm getting closer and closer to the page to be able to read. And eventually it got to a stage like, yes, there's something not quite right here. And yeah, it gets to a stage where you think, I need to accept some more help. So I, when I graduated, so I went off to university. I had a year in Spain and had quite a few challenges there. Some of it connected with my sight and trying to just fit in and not telling people that I couldn't see too well. Some of it just being a 20-year-old in a country where I didn't know anyone and learning the language and all the difficulties that comes with that. But looking back now, that was kind of the start of things when it's like, yes, I can, I can achieve things. I've got the strength to stay here and communicate. And yeah, it really started off, I think, probably me being more confident in my abilities, and being able to do things even though I had my visual impairment. And yeah, afterwards I then, looking back now, I was still at this stage of thinking I didn't need the adjustments even when I did, and I was lucky I had somebody from the social services. When I went after university, I went back to Chichester to live with my parents in some hope I was going to get a job somehow. I didn't have like a big career plan mapped out, and yeah, a lady from social services came round and she taught me to read Braille and to use a long cane. I was like, oh, these things, they're going to really help you one day. And I was just like, that's all right, thanks. But I had a lot of time on my hands, I suppose, because I was just going for job interviews. So I went with it. And now it's like really good that it's like some skills which I can use, now that I really do need them. And, now the thought of going out without my long cane is just like a mega challenge in itself. So, yeah, sometimes these things which you think at the time they're, just something to do, but they really benefit later on. And then, yeah, just a bit about my work. So I feel very lucky that, despite seeing, the numbers of people who are blind or visually impaired who were not in employment, that I did manage to get, first of all, it was the RNIB that gave me a job on their trainee scheme. And this only meant not only that I was having a job, but I moved to London. And yeah, it was when things really started to take off for me. And using the access to work, I got different equipment to help me do my job. And that's continued all throughout my career. Since then, I spent quite a number of years working for Enfield Disability Action, supporting people with getting their direct payments benefits. And after then, I went on to Transport for All. I worked for a time as a campaigns intern. I wanted to change the way that people could get around, and I thought this was my chance. I was going to actually make a difference. I then worked on the helpline, and after that I then got my job at Selvis, South East London Vision, which was basically the most fun, and it was such a great job. I was Activities Co-ordinator and I was supporting visually impaired people. We went on trips out to different theatres and we did lots of sporting things. We went to the seaside. It was just really empowering and gave me a lot of confidence in seeing other people enjoying things and what I was helping them to achieve. And that's one of the things which have always got a lot of enjoyment, and it's really helped me when I can see how I'm supporting other people and the joy they get from it. I also and now I work for VocalEyes, which also is brilliant because it means that I'm telling people all about audio description at the theatre and museums. Admittedly, a lot of it's been during the pandemic, so it was when theatres were all closed. But yeah, it's really good that I can still help people and show people, what is possible. I know when my site sort of went, as bad as it is now, that it got to that stage thinking, what is out there, and just seeing what there is and all the opportunities, I think really does make a difference. Over the lockdown, as I say, I was on furlough for a while. I suddenly had a lot of time on my hands again, which I must admit was rather lovely. And I joined a group, the Brailleist Foundation, and joined in lots of Zooms. I we did like a mindfulness session, block of sessions to start with, which was always very beneficial to do some mindfulness, and then went on to doing some cookery. I learned to bake bread, and we ate a lot of bread, homemade bread during lockdown. And also it sort of then speared on from there. I had been within the London Federation of the Blind branch for quite a few years. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry, my telephone's going. Hold on, I'm going to mute myself. I'll be back.
I don't know if Jess is answering that phone call.
Yeah, she is.
She is, okay.
She'll be back in about 2 or 3 minutes time.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're back. That's all right, Jess, carry on.
Sorry, it would have just kept going. Anyway, yeah, so I joined the London Federation of the Blind branch quite a few years ago, mainly because I wanted to, well, I enjoyed going along on their annual weekends down to Eastbourne, where lots of sort of fun activities and getting together with old friends and new friends all happened. Obviously, this couldn't happen during the lockdown, so I was really proud that I was asked to be part of a group of people to put on a virtual Eastbourne event, which was just an amazing weekend. We did a whole series of things. We had like a wine tasting session, cookery, keep fit. We invited people to show off their talents at a cabaret night. And the success of this just sort of then spiraled, and we did all sorts of other events virtually throughout the lockdown, different Christmas things and an 80s and 90s party, 60s, 70s weekend. So there was just lots of fun to be had. And, you know, it just showed that even though, you know, visually impaired or blind, what can be achieved and the real positive things that all comes from it. Then last year in January, I was elected on to be the chair of the London branch of the National Federation of the Blind, which even as I say it today makes me sound very grand. And it's, yeah, something I'm proud of. And at the time I kind of thought, wow, that's a big responsibility. Am I up for that? But talking to people, they were like, yeah, go for it. So I did. And, you know, I'm really pleased to say that since then, the London branch, we've really grown. There's a really great committee on board. So we all help each other out. And we've done lots of Zoom socials. We have meetings where we have guest speakers to come along. We also did manage to go down to Eastbourne last year for an actual event where we got together, and we had a lovely Christmas meal together as well. So there's a lot of social stuff going on. We'll try and do a bit of campaigning, but that's still work in progress. And yeah, one of the things that really keeps me going through all this is my running. I discovered running, well, I used to run when my eyes were better, and then I stopped running because I kept bumping into things and tripping up and whatever. And just by chance, I went along to an event that Metro Blind Sport organised, like an athletics thing. I was talking to the organiser saying about how I wanted to run again, but I didn't think it was possible. And she asked if I'd ever considered about having a guide runner. And to me, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds great, but I don't know anyone and I don't know how I go about doing that. And she had just trained up a group of people in my local area as to be guide runners. So put me in touch with someone, Steve, who turns out to be, well, now he's a really good friend, and we ran together. We met up in the park. We arranged to meet in the park on a Saturday morning and do the park run together for the first time. I obviously at this point, you know, wasn't really thinking about how we were going to meet, whereabouts. It's like, yeah, see you at the park. Not thinking there might be two entrances. So we were at opposite sides. But eventually we met up, we ran together, and we've been running together ever since. And we've done loads of park runs now. I think we've done over 100 at any rate. And Steve has even trained with me to do 2 half marathons. So the first one, raising money for Zelvis as well. So just really, there's so many opportunities out there. What I'm really trying to get across is that there's loads of different opportunities. You never know which one's going to be the thing which really takes off for you. So, you know, I always like to be part of lots of different things, keeping myself busy on different mailing lists. And if there's something which you think, oh, let's give that a try, then just go for it.
Well, thank you, Jessica. That was amazing to hear all the different things that you've done, how you've achieved them. And I think the biggest takeaway for me is, like, you know, being the chair of the London NFB group, and I think the most thing was your self-doubt, but actually I think you're going to be fab, and it sounds like you are doing fantastically well. So it's just been really mind-blowing to hear everything you've done, honestly.
Oh, thank you.
Well
and
done.
I'm sorry about the phone call.
That's all right. Well, look, that's what happens on online meetings, right?
Yes, yeah, definitely. It's a classic Zoom moment.
It's all good. Does anyone have any comments or questions for Jess?
Hello, it's Paula. How do I get involved in National Federation for the Blind?
That's what I like to hear, Paula. So yeah, so we have a membership for. So if you email London, have you got something to write this down on, or can I send it?
If you can
being
send it to
recorded, so
Beal.
yeah.
Oh,
we'll
okay. Yeah. So
we'll
it's
send the recording.
london@nfbuk.org, and if you send us a message, then we'll get in touch. We can send. There's a online membership form that you can fill out, or if it's difficult to fill out, then someone can phone you and we can help you go through it.
Thank
Is
you.
there a membership fee, Jess?
Well, so because it's part of the National Federation of the Blind, so the first year is free, and then after then it is £16 per year if you're blind and visually impaired. If you're a friend or family member, sighted person, it's £8. But you get a year free to try out, see if you like us and see how it goes. And when you remember, you get we do a fortnightly newsletter, London Life, which has got loads of different information and people writing things, what they've been up to. We've got as I say, Eastbourne weekend will be definitely happening this year unless something drastic happens, but I'm optimistic at the moment. And we're also hoping to have other sort of social events during the year as well.
Great.
And we've got a Facebook page as well. Last year we set up the London NFB Facebook page, so if anyone's on there, you can join that, like us.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Anybody else want to come in? No? Okay. Well, Jess, really, that was really, truly amazing to hear. And it's great that, you know, there are certain activities and social events you're planning. And that kind of brings me on to asking the group the question. You know, we've spoken back in November and even at our September meeting, trying to kind of plan for our face-to-face meeting, how people feel about meeting face-to-face. You know, do you want to continue online? So just trying to get a feel, because obviously in London, previous meetings used to go around different pubs. Then they moved to the Pocklington Trust in Euston. That venue is no, you know, TPT are not based there anymore. They're at a new venue, so I don't think that's going to be a possibility. So we will need to start looking for where we host our meetings. So just to try and plan and put the feelers out for venues. How do you all feel like potentially if we started looking at maybe, I don't know, May looking to do face-to-face meetings? Or do people still prefer online?
I think
Anyone can jump in.
Yeah, it's Gail here. I think it'd be a really nice idea to meet up in May. Personally, you know, somewhere in central London that people can access quite easily. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. And if anyone has ideas of venues, you know, please sort of share them as well.
All right, quick question then in terms of venues. What's the maximum people usually? 'Cause I've never been to an in-person one before. So how many people roughly attend, would you say?
So the last one I attended in a pub, that had around 70 people. But I think it depends on the location. You know, we can work out on average, I don't know, 20. I mean, Mark, from your experiences, what are the average kind of numbers? Did you say 20-ish, 30-ish?
Yeah, so we've got, so there's 19 of us on the call today. Also, we've had upwards of 30 before as well. I think it very much depends, as you just said, Lavini, the venue, the nature of the speaker, if it's something that's going to interest people. But also just bear in mind, when we do look to come back to physical meetings, it very much depends on what people want to get out of the meetings. If it is just that social element of seeing people, having a drink, it could be a coffee rather than it's entirely up to the people that want to come along, really.
Thanks, Matt. I went to the London meeting in 2018, I think it was, and it was at the Hydrant in Monument. And we had a fantastic speaker there, and it was a really good turnout. You know, we all had lunch, it was a massive table, it was a speaker and a bit of a social event. And I think there was upwards of about 25 people there. So it was a really good experience, and it was the first one that I've ever been to. So, and it was good to meet up with people that I've only ever sort of spoken to on the phone, or you know, you know of, or you communicate through social media. But when you're actually having kind of like a face-to-face conversation with someone, you get to meet sort of new networking. You know, you get to meet other organized people that are on other organizations. So like Matt said, it's really what you would like to get out of the meeting. But it's literally is how people are feeling, thoughts and feelings, obviously coming out this COVID situation that we're in. So, you know, all thoughts, comments are more than welcome. The more feedback that we can get from these meetings can help us tailor make a face-to-face meeting for everyone's needs.
Yeah.
Hello, Joe here. I think I was at that meeting in the Hydrant as well, Mark. I think we met there, and it was a really great event. There was a medical speaker, I forget who exactly it was, and then someone else talking more from the community perspective. I'm really in favour of in-person meetings, so I'd be really up for a meeting in March or April or May, whenever. But a suggestion I have is maybe we could continue with a mixture of online and in-person. So maybe 2 in-person meetings a year and 4 online, or whatever combination of that.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Thank you.
It's Belinda here.
Hi, Belinda.
I've been a member of the British Retinitis Pigmentosa Society for many years, and obviously the name has changed over the years. I've been to a number of in sort of together meetings where we're meeting each other, and that has been nice because you meet old friends and you see new ones, and people come and go. And I'm not sure I went to that last one that you were talking about. The one I remember was Chris McCallan. But people, I think, was the problem with that is obviously people's have personal problems of getting there, or they have difficulties in their own lives and tend to drop out. And so you don't always see new people, but you tend to talk to the people you know or the people around you. Originally, it started off in London with Jonathan doing it on the changing of the clocks, which is obviously very important to us with a little bit of vision. And I'm particularly looking forward to it this year. But to me, it's the ones online, now that we're doing so many Zoom meetings with our colleagues and friends, there's a convenience to it. And if you have a talk, we've got it there, but you lose that personal touch. I think with the Zoom, it's nice to see people in the flesh, to see new guide dogs. And as I say, I've been to many over the years. We've done a lot of them in person, and I have enjoyed it. But now I'm finding, well, actually, it's more convenient to be here. It's less hassle, and you can see some people are not. So I'm probably of the thought that somebody just said about it being a mixture of either in person or on Zoom.
Yeah, no, take your feedback on board. Thanks, Belinda. And also, you know, if people want to have a mixture of speakers and then the social element, or the face-to-face ones, just having it as a social, and then maybe the online ones with a speaker. So, you know, any thoughts are welcome and what you guys would prefer.
Sandra speaking.
Hi, Sandra.
You've got to think about, you've got a lot of members that might not have access to internet that might want a speaker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
But not everybody's like access to a computer or a smartphone. Just my thought.
Yeah, no, well point made. Thanks, Sandra. Anybody else that want to share their views on this subject?
Just one other thought, it's Belinda again, is I find having a medical speaker, I think, or something very pertinent to us, has actually been very useful. Certainly for me, it's made a big difference. A bit like Jessica, you know, your symptoms change and your genetic change has now happened a lot more. We now know what our genes are, which we didn't know years ago. And by having medical talkers, you often gather a little bit more information either about our future, or our past, or our families and things like that. So medical speakers have always brought in a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think it's been about a year since we've had a medical speaker, so maybe the next one or two, we'll think about that definitely. Any other thoughts that people want to share before we move on?
My phone. I love this.
Okay, well, thanks to those that kind of shared their feedback. You know, we'll definitely
Sorry, one
start.
more point, Praveen.
Yeah?
Yes, I was muted, so.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. But I was just thinking, Mark is organising quite a few webinars now, right, from Retina UK to give us information about medical stuff. So could people on here be able to join that? And because there's always a thirst for information, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think you're going to mention some of those, aren't you, a little bit later on, Mark, before we leave, or Matt? I think there's one coming up in February, I think.
Sorry,
as I said.
Sorry.
Sorry, Matt. Did you want to take this one with the webinars?
I missed the question. Sorry.
What webinars are coming up?
Yeah.
Webinars.
Yes.
So we have a webinar. I was going to do this bit at the end. We've got a webinar this coming Thursday on Charles-Bonnet syndrome, so visual hallucinations. Next month, so yeah, that's the 27th. Let me grab my dates up quickly. Next month, so the 24th, again, that's a Thursday evening, we've got a webinar with British Blind Sports about how you can kind of get active either at home or in groups around your community. In March, we're hoping to do something around medical imaging for something that people said they wanted to do. So we're looking at that potentially the 31st of March. We will share all these dates with you, but I'll let you know where we are now. We have a webinar booked on Thursday, the 28th of April, which is being presented by Avril Watson, who is a PhD student. She's looking at stuff around Stargardts. But nothing booked in for May at the moment. But June, we are looking at a big collaborative webinar with a number of other organisations who work with people with Usher syndrome. And that's where we are for the first half of the year.
That's a lot going on. Yeah, so we'll definitely share that in the with the recording and the emails, just so you have those dates to hand. And absolutely, any of you can join them and get those information. Before we kind of open it up to like the social bit, where you can just sort of share any sort of tech updates or anything that you want to ask questions on, and it could be any part. Any final feedback you want to share about meeting face to face, keeping it online, potential speakers, do let us know.
Bhavini, I've got another date for people's diaries.
Yeah.
We've just set up a new group for residents of the Kent area. So anyone that lives in kind of the Bexley borough or the Bromley borough, Lewisham, etc. You know, if they wanted to join in with the Kent group, the first online meeting will be on the 8th of February, which is a Tuesday evening at 7 p.m.
Speaking to, I do not bleeding well now.
So if anyone from the Kent area would be interested in coming along to that one to meet other people in the Kent area, then they're more than welcome to.
Yeah, fantastic, Mark. And just to clarify, you don't have to be a Kent resident to attend those, do you?
Oh no. So,
Okay.
yeah, the only thing is our first speaker is going to be a chap called Chris Wilston, who will be talking about the Kent Association for the Blind, which obviously is the governing body for the Kent area, and I think the Bromley area as well. There's three teams in the Kent Association for the Blind, so some services may not be available, obviously, if you live in the London Borough of Bexley or other London boroughs, but there will be a talker on there regarding a mobility. He's going to be a Rovi that's going to be talking about mobility and getting around and stuff like that. So if anyone is interested in joining that meeting, then please check out our website on the local peer groups page to register. The registration details are now available for you to register for that one. And again, it's on the 8th of February.
In the Manchester one in February.
A hand up.
No. Sorry, what was that, Matt?
A hand up from Gail.
Hi, Gail.
Oh, yeah, I'll definitely be interested in that. I come under the Borough of Bexley, and sorry if this is a silly question, but how do I join? You said something about the peer group page, but I don't know how to access that.
Okay, it's what we can do is we'll obviously I've got your details, Gal. You're from Erith, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can notify you of how to access it. But if you know our website, it's just www.retinauk.org.uk, and it's exactly the same way that you've registered for this meeting, but further down the page there should be find out more about the Kent group, and you can register in exactly the same way. It's all on the same local peer groups page on our website, but I can forward you on the details if you don't mind me contacting you.
No, that would be great. Thank you for that.
No worries.
Sarah, did you have a question as well?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know I was off mute because my phone's playing up. But no, it's really good that I can join into other groups other than being in Leicestershire, because we haven't got one at the minute. So I'm just listening in and finding out what other people are doing, sort of thing. It's unfortunately my phone's playing up. It's gone into phone mode and I can't really do anything. So I didn't realise I was off mute. So I do apologise about that.
No, that's absolutely fine.
Right.
So if people are in different areas, bear in mind that we are only a very small team, or should I say Mark on his own is a very small team, who's kind of organising this. So we just need to, we need to be a little bit careful as to where we set groups up. But if we know that we've got, interest in other areas, then, they will be coming, but it may be something for 2023. As we come into the planning for next year. I appreciate that's a bit difficult when I'm saying that in January of 2020, but it'll fly by.
There is no reason for anyone to not join any meetings if it's a speaker that you feel relevant and you'll find interesting. We do have a Manchester peer group that will be taking place on Tuesday, the 22nd of February at 7 p.m. So the speakers to be confirmed, but the date has been. So again, please feel free to join that one if you wish. I
will join that one, because I joined that one last time you had the Manchester group. Yeah.
What time is the Bromley group, please?
Which one, sorry?
The Kent one, sorry.
The Kent one, it's February 8th Tuesday, February 8th at 7 p.m.
Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah, we're in Bromley Borough, so that could be good.
Yeah, so that would benefit you because you come under the Bromley CAP team. Obviously,
Yeah.
so Chris will cover all 3 areas. Sorry, I do apologise for that.
Yours.
Makes a change for one of my pair doing it.
No, that's great, Mark. And we can also, like, share these different meetings that are going on. So if you are interested in joining, even if it's not your local area, you're, like Mark said, you're more than welcome to join if it interests you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, so like as meetings are confirmed and obviously communications have gone out, they will be available on our website. So if you want to jump in and have a little look at other meetings in other areas, we will start going face to face towards the spring, but there will be certain online groups still taking place as well up until June.
I might also, do you do one for the West Midlands or is it Birmingham?
There is one in the West Midlands, and it will be probably towards the end of February. We're just confirming dates and speakers for that one.
Because for the time being, that will be when it is face to face. That will be the nearest one for me to travel to, even though I do spend a lot of time in Manchester too. But yeah.
No, we will be looking as soon as we've decided when the group members will feel comfortable going face to face for the West Midlands. We will be looking at sourcing a brand new venue. It probably will be around the Birmingham area because of the transport links, public transport links, train stations. We want to make it as accessible for everybody to get to. So it's a case of watch this space.
Brill, thank you ever so much for all the information. It's really good to be involved in something and like to have a retinal condition sort of thing. It's really good to be involved in these groups online, and it's really looking forward to the things that will come up like this year and next year, really.
No, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone have any questions? And it doesn't have to be about group meetings. It could be anything that you're working on, or any techie bits, or any benefit related, anything that you might want to ask your peers in this group, or just share something that you've come across that might benefit others.
Good afternoon there, everybody. So I'm Jason. As you might know, I am a massive tech head. So there's an interesting iPhone app. It's kind of in its early stages at the moment. So it's called I Can See World. So basically what it is built AI that will recognize different live objects. So you can point it at something and it will try its best to describe what that object is actually in real time. So this is kind of a new AI that's coming around. So if you point it at your guide dog, it might say table, but it might say some other things as well. So it's kind of in its stage. It's kind of early concepts at the moment. I am working with some of these companies as well, so that's kind of some of the things my work involves. So I hope that might help some people have a play around with it and tell me what you think of it. You might say it's rubbish. That's fine. It's part of the fun of apps.
Is it quite similar to Seeing AI then, or
no? So basically, its premise is it's more for describing what actual objects are. So it's not for text. It's more for actual object recognition. So it's more like spotting where a table is in a room, spotting where maybe you've dropped something on the floor, maybe a pen, piece of some coins. It will try its best to try and find out where that object is in real time. So it's, as I said, it's kind of still in its early stages. I do know that they do recommend that you have one of the later iPhones for it to work at its best, but that's still kind of, I think at the moment, the app, right, as far as I've been talking to them, they are still working on it, and it's still being updated, so still coming out as far as even I know. I'm not completely always kept in the loop, so that's one thing that's just keep your eyes peeled and see what happens.
Thank you for sharing that.
What was the app called, Jason?
It's called I Can See World, as in the world around you. It's all one word.
I can see the world.
Yep. It's on the App Store. I don't know if they're going to be doing an Android version at the moment. It's mainly for the ISO app world at the moment, but it might come over.
Cool.
That sounds interesting. Anybody else?
Joe here. I actually had a question for Jessica, which I didn't share earlier. I'm just wondering what makes the National Federation of the Blind different to the RNIB, and what plans you had for your tenure as the chair, and how long are you in the post for? Is it something which is forever and ever?
Oh gosh, no. I say that as if I don't want to be in it forever and ever, but no. So yeah, I mean, I might be out in next week. You never know. It was just like, it's a yearly elected in thing. So yeah, hopefully the changes that have happened this year will put me in good stead for staying in another year, because I feel that it's just starting to all take off, and I want to see, you know, how far it can go. How's it different from the RNIB? Good question. I guess it's you know, it seems it's much more user-led. You know, the people, you know, right from the people in the running the charity, the national charity, they're all visually impaired or blind. They are very committed in getting involved in campaigns, which, you know, not always the big campaigns that like the RNIB or Guide Dogs into. They been working on things like to do with the shared spaces and the bus stop. What do you call them? Island bus stops.
Can I help you, Jessica?
Yeah, so I think that's you know, the main thing is that they like to, you know, although it's a overall national charity, they have lots of people working at the local level. So yeah, within London we have, you know, a lot of people going out and doing their campaigns, which the branch supports them, and then things that we want to all work on collectively. Obviously, you know, London is quite difficult because we're all, you know, the boroughs, they're all different. There's not such a collective as say the people in I don't know, I'm going to say somewhere which is probably wrong, so I'm not going to even pick a place, but you know what I'm trying to say, I think. I hope.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it's been really good. You know, it's been a challenge. When I sort of joined, when I was first out of the chair, it seemed that the members, they were just you know, they were getting a lot of information. There was lots of information being sent out about different organisations and what was going on, but that they didn't feel like they sort of were involved themselves in doing things and wanting to engage so much. You know, they were more with like the bigger organisations. So I think that's what's been really nice this year, is to see people sort of be reinvigorated and, you know, really like say, oh yeah, this is what I do, and I've been doing it with the London Federation. So yeah, it's been really good.
Thanks, Jess. That sounds really cool, and it's great to hear that it sounds like a kind of more grassrootsy movement.
Yes.
Than other organisations. That's very cool, and congratulations, of course.
Thank you. And of course, you know, anyone who wants to join up, we're, as I say, we're the London branch, but you know, we have people joining from not just London. You know, obviously a lot of, you know, when we do start doing face-to-face in-person things, it probably will be more London based, but at the moment there's so much stuff happening on Zoom. We have a Sunday social, it's now monthly, and that will stay on Zoom, because that really attracts people from all across London, and, you know, people who are outside London as well. So there's lots going on.
Jess, you mentioned that, you know, you chair the London group. Are there other groups across the country? Only because, like, you know, we've got a couple of people here from Leicester, Birmingham and Manchester.
Yeah. There's different groups across the country. They're all sort of different. They're not all as active as the London branch. the Leeds branch is very active, and they have a lot of members. They do lots of meetings and social things. There is also Midlands, I think the West Midlands branch, and Nottingham. Yeah, I think there's about 8 or 9 branches across the country. So yeah, but they also, you know, the National Federation of Blind, they obviously have their website, so you know, you could go and look on there and see which is your nearest branch and what they're doing.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else that wants to comment with anything? I had a question. How many of you have transferred to PIP, or are you, like myself, still on DLA?
Bavini, I'm on PIP.
Oh yeah, did you find the process good?
Yeah, it was quite a while. I'm surprised that you're on DLA, because I thought that the DLA was only up to the age of 16, and anyone over 16 would have been ordered, or it was like mandatory that you go over to PIP. But no, the process I think has changed over the years since I did it. I did it. Oh God, must be about 10. It was when that they were doing the transfer, and they're actually just selecting. There was about 2,000 people randomly across the board to take part in it, and I thought, well, you know, I might as well do it. It's pretty brutal in terms of what you have to put in the forms. You know, they always said that you write them out as if it was your worst day. But you know, the benefits of going over to PIP definitely outweigh the cons, if that makes sense. But it's definitely worth it. To me, it was definitely worth doing. So, but it is a daunting task, and I think the forms may have changed. I'm actually helping someone go through the process at the moment. You know, just, you know, giving them guidance and stuff like that from obviously experience. And yeah, it seems to be going quite well, the process. I think it's about 4 weeks or something like that now that you may not hear back from. It could even be up to 6 weeks. What would they may be having a bit of a backlog of applications going through, but it's definitely something to look into from a financial aspect.
Yeah, there is quite a few people that still, even my friends still on DLA. There is a few people across the country that still are on DLA and not gone over to PIP, but they had a bad experience with an assessment, and she didn't know what my guide dog was and didn't know how to describe how to stand on one leg because she didn't think it was safe enough for me to do it.
We've got a hand up from Gail.
Hi, Gail.
Hi, sorry. Hi. Just a quickie. I'm on PIP as well, and I think mine's due for renewal sometime in 2023. Is that the normal process? Because I just assumed that it would just be a continuous benefit.
It depends on what you've been awarded. So some people have. I know with DLA there was like a lifetime award. I don't think they've continued with that with PIP. I think there is an expiration date, which always seems very, very bizarre to me because of the nature of our conditions. It's not
exactly
any better. It's only going to get any worse. So yeah, I don't quite know what the reapplication route is, to be honest with you, Gail. But obviously, if you've got an award at the moment, I can't see how they would ever do a lesser award. I know when I applied for DLA back when I was first registered, we ended up having to go to court for a tribunal because they wouldn't award. And when we went to the tribunal, the DWP didn't actually turn up. And then when it came to PIP, what 52-page long document, which was inaccessible. It was a horrible, horrible form. But then I got an even better award than I had before. So I know the RNIB are very, very good at helping people fill in that form. So if you are having to kind of go down that route, then do seek some help if you're a little bit unsure. Baveen, I think you've done some support with people applying for benefits and such like. Am I wrong in saying that?
I've directed people, not personally help fill out forms or anything.
Oh, that's a better way.
Can I say, when I worked at South East London Vision, we had an information service part of it, and part of that was helping people fill out their PIP forms. So, you know, we did quite a lot of people transferring over from DLA onto PIP. And yeah, the RNIB and their toolkit is really, really good at sort of helping you think about the right way to answer the questions. And also Bhavini, Jonathan, who now works for London Vision, he's like the PIP master. So I would pick his brains for any advice.
When they finally approach me that they want to move me on, I definitely will.
Oh, I would go for it, because lots of people, you know, it is better financially. Certainly both me and Jason, you know, is the same level of what it was, but it's you're better off from it. So it's definitely worth it. And in fact, I don't think Jason even waited for the letter. He just approached them and said, "Can I change over?"
Yeah, no, definitely. I know some people have actually contacted them to say, well, look, I'm ready to be transferred or something. And they've done it, you know, they've contacted DWP themselves to be transferred over.
You should do it.
I'm just, I don't know whether that, no, I know. I think there's a comment in the chat. Bexley said, I didn't quite get it. Can anyone see that chat?
Yeah, it was me. I was just saying that basically when I first did the PIP, I got in contact with the sensory team in Bexley Borough. They were really helpful. Yeah. So yeah.
Joe here. I might be able to offer some insight for Gail. I just did the renewal, and it was a form quite similar to the application form, so very long. I also found it inaccessible, so I had someone help me to read it. And I just sort of dictated my answers, and the answers I gave were just, there has been no change, or it has got worse. And so I just wrote that over and over and over again. I didn't go into any more detail. I didn't send any more documents with it, and they accepted that. So it's been renewed for, I think it's 4 or 5 years now. So it might look like a daunting form, but I just repeated the same answer and over again, and they accepted that. I'd also just, if anyone's not applied for it and they're daunted by the process, I found it, and I've heard lots of people having bad experiences, but I actually had a very good experience. The form, although it took a long time to fill out, I found it relatively clear. And as long as I bore in mind what I think Mark said about, you know, filling it out as if, and describing my impairment as if it was the worst day that I was having, as long as I bore that in mind, then the answers weren't too difficult to get down. If anyone would like to, I've actually got a copy of the form with my answers. If anyone would like to see it, I'm happy to email that across to people. And in terms of the interview which happened, a guy came to my house. He asked me a number of questions, and although I had to prompt certain things, like for example, I had to tell him he was about to go, and I was like, well, also actually I use a white cane to navigate. And he was like, oh, that's important. And he sat down again and started writing. So I did have to make sure that I communicated certain important things. He was extremely empathetic and diplomatic about his questions. So I found the process very, very comfortable, really, from my point of view. And I've actually also, I did a transcript. I recorded that interview with the person who came over, and I've done a little anonymized transcript of it. So if anyone is really daunted by it and would like to see an example of what kind of things the interview might be like, and the kinds of questions they might ask you, then I'm also happy to share that.
That's really useful. And Gail has put in the chat that your offer of your form, I think she would like that. Mark and Matt, would it be the best thing that Joe emails the services email, and then you can share that with Gail directly?
Yes, please. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I'll do that.
Just to add to what Matt said about the RNIB, I still believe, I think if anyone does apply for PIP and they don't feel that they've got the result that they feel that they should get, the RNIB do have a really good appeals team as well, that will actually go through your application and everything like that to make sure that what you've put down is what what you're experiencing, because with the assessors you could get a good assessor, like Joe was saying, or you could get a really bad one. It's just the luck of the draw. I've spoken to many people that have had bad experiences with PIP just because it was the assessor that was reviewing their application. So don't feel that, just because the result that you've received from the DWP is the be or end all, you can take it further if you wish.
That's important to highlight. Yeah, absolutely.
This is Anjani. I've also had my PIP, and the form, I think the toolkit that the RNIB supply keep that printout, or somebody who's helping you. So it's a good point to refer to with every question to make sure that you get to the highest points. So even though you may not think it's relevant, just think of it as coming from the sight loss aspect. So, they're talking about different things in terms of disability, but the toolkit helps you to think of it from the sight point of view, so visual impairment. So it'd be definitely worth using that as your guideline all along the way and refer back to it. And secondly, when I had my assessor, I made sure that everything, or my husband's the accountant, so he knew what to do, had everything ready to show. So I had all the things that you've written in there that you use, I had it ready, show, in the room so she could see. So I had my cane, I had my leveler. I had also from Retina UK, I had asked for those not plastic, but the paper. Yeah. The paper with a little round. So I asked her, do you wear glasses? So she said yes. I said, remove your glasses and put this on. And what can you see through that? I see less than that. So when they actually experience what you are going through, they suddenly become a little more amenable and sort of enter your world, as opposed to looking at it from the other side, not the enemy side, but they're part of your team kind of thing. And that changed. And also, I had my ID, so I had my passport. And so she said, can you hold that and have a look? Tell me, what do you see? So I said, I can see this edge and that edge, and I can see something shiny. I know that it's meant to be, this color and gold on it, but I can't see it. All I know is that it's, this. So you actually demonstrate. And then she made me, because I had written about my back issue as well, because it's not just your sight, it's what other thing you might suffer from, you add. So you really have to pile it on. And I have to admit that it took me 2 weeks of depression to get out of it, because you are focusing on what you can't do as to what you can do. And we normally want to just focus on what we can do. So in that time, it really comes home to you and you realize, oh my God, not in such a good place. But on the other hand, you start thinking, look what I can do after the period has passed. But definitely look at the toolkit and prepare before the appointment.
That's really useful, Anjani. Thank you. And the sim specs, I think that's such a good idea. I don't think I've heard anyone else do that. I think that really brings it home, doesn't it?
Exactly, because nobody can say, the only in training places that people actually get a chance to see how you have these different types of glasses that emulates what sight loss is and the different conditions. But unless somebody experiences it, how can they know? You can't blame them either. I don't know what it feels like to be in a wheelchair until I sit in it and experience it, isn't it? So it's a bit like that. So make it as easy as possible for them to experience what your world is like.
Yeah.
And I was lucky. I had a very sympathetic woman. And at the end of it, she said, my God, I don't know, you're doing amazing. I've not come across other people who are doing what you're trying to do. in the sense of, I said I do yoga, I do this, I do that, I do meditation to keep my, the sanity and the various strategies I use. Because everything we do, this was the other point, is you have to make sure you mention, I can do this with this technology. I can do that with this assistance. So you're not saying you can't do it. You can do it, but what are you using to enable you to do it?
Yeah.
You have to make sure you remember and put that in the form as well. Because I mean, we're not lemons. We're not just sitting doing nothing. We are working. We are looking. We are living a life, but with difficulty. And you forget how difficult it is because you've been living it for so long. So sometimes it helps somebody else pointing out. So if you sit with your husband or your daughters and say, okay, what do you notice? And then they might tell you, oh, you don't do this, Mum. Or, I have to do this for you. And suddenly it's down there. Like I even something simple like putting the trash out. I cannot disseminate, from the black bin to the brown bin to the recycling. Somebody else has to do it. I can't wheel it out because I wouldn't know where I'm going. It's little things like that, even though you have whatever site you've got, but you bring it home to your everyday morning till evening, what you're going through. And even things like how you're using rubber bands to differentiate between a shampoo and a conditioner, where exactly you leave your things, your spices, the different so you tell them, I use different shaped bottles. So some basics that you forget, but it's worth thinking about. And so it takes a few days to fill it in and just go back and review. Oh, have I said this or did I say that? And you'll remember as days go by. I hope that helps anyway.
Yeah, very useful. Absolutely. Okay, we're just gone past 12:30, and there's no pressure to stay until 1. That's just how long the Zoom's been booked for. Does anyone else have anything they would like to ask, share?
Just to add to Jessica's talk, what really brought home to me was your attitude of having the courage to say yes with everything you've done. So it's fantastic. Well done.
Oh, thank you. I must admit, it doesn't always work out. But yeah, the things that do, it's great. And
if you didn't try it, you wouldn't know what you're capable of, isn't it?
Exactly.
So
yes. Yeah. And at one point I thought I was going to be this champion visually impaired tennis player, but me and ball sports don't go together well, I discovered. But yeah, me and dancing, that's great. So yeah, you never know. And it's always good to try something new. And yeah, that's always what I like to think, that if things don't go, you can always laugh at. I've got so many, so I could have done like a whole talk about things which had all been a bit disastrous, but are really quite funny. So it's always good to be able to laugh at when things don't quite go your way as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good message to home on from Jessica to end this meeting, like positivity and saying yes to things that you can try, and just getting that mindset. Actually, I think that's a really nice way to leave this meeting. Not that I'm saying bye, because I do want to get opinions on what kind of things you want to discuss for our next meeting. Any kind of initial thoughts, any speakers like you're really interested in. I know we mentioned research or medical talks, but if there's anything that you're interested in, please do sort of share now in the chat, or let services know, as in the services at retinauk.org.uk email. Yeah, it will be really interesting to know what you're interested in.
Can I just do a bit of a plug for VocalEyes, Bhavini?
Absolutely, go on.
Sorry, just while I'm here, I might as well make the most of it.
Yep.
Yeah. So as I say, I work now for VocalEyes. So they are a UK charity, and they support blind and visually impaired people to access the arts. So they are the ones that help put on audio description at the theatre and help people go and explore museums and galleries and all sorts of heritage sites. So if you want to know what you could go and see, and it's not just London, it is all around the country, go and check out the VocalEyes website. We have a fortnightly what's on listings guide that comes out, and check out everything that's on there. Audio description at the theatre is amazing. It basically helps you know what's happening on the stage, which you can't see. And pre-COVID times, some touch tours as well, where you got to go on the stage and explore the set, and they are slowly coming back. So yes, definitely worth going to check out, and then sign up for their newsletter as well.
Thanks, Jessica. And I do recommend that the touch tours, because it just brings all the props, the actors, the costumes to life. And for anyone that is interested in Frozen, I know there's an audio described performance tomorrow. If anyone that loves Frozen. Oh,
there's lots of musicals, there's dramas, there's ballet, there's every genre of theatre you could possibly imagine at some point has had audio description or will do in the future. And as I say, it's not only theatre, it's also museums. There's an online talk at the British Museum coming up next week for the Vocalise exhibition, and there's a tour at the Postal Museum at the beginning of February, which sounds pretty cool. I'd wanted to go on that for ages. I think I'm going to go on this one. So yeah, check out all what's on there.
The Postal Museum, I would definitely recommend. I've done it with the group when I used to work at East London Vision, and it is, even if you're not a train fanatic, but just to see how it works, and you do get onto that train ride.
Go on the train, don't you? Yeah.
Yes, you do. It is worth going and at least exploring once.
I agree.
Have you been on it as well?
I came with you.
Oh, yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Yeah,
yeah, no, it's really good. Thank you, Jessica, so much. It's been really insightful and really just oozing positivity, and I wish you all the best. I really do.
Thank you, and thanks for having me here today. It really was like, when you invited me, I was a bit like, oh, really? So no. Thank you. It has helped with a lot. As you said, I do have a lot of self-doubt as well. So this is great for me. Thank you, and thanks everyone for listening.
No, absolutely. And thank you. Just fine, before we wrap up today, any final kind of thoughts, comments from anyone?
Just one from me, Bhavini. It was Gal from Erith, wasn't it? Who was the lady from Bromley?
Me, yes.
Jessica.
Oh, it was Jessica from Bromley.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, okay.
But I think I've got, actually, when I was thinking about it, I think I might already have had an email from the Kent Association of the Blind about it anyway.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, Chris was, I did ping over the flyer to Chris to circulate literally through all the teams. And I think I actually sent the London flyer to the Bromley team as well, obviously, because it comes under a London borough. So, yeah, but like I say, if you've already got that information, then I'll forward on the information on to Gal as well. But if you've already signed up,
I'm almost sure I just need to have a search through my inbox.
Okay, brilliant. I just didn't want you to miss out on that, because obviously it's our first group again, so we are going to ask questions, find out a little bit more about where we can take that new group, whether we want to continue that one online, or whether we want to use the facilities at Maidstone, which they've kindly offered to us, so people can get to Maidstone for a face-to-face group. Then so all feedback's welcome for that one.
Cool, brilliant, thank you.
Great. Matt, well, either of you, the recording to this meeting, where can people access it later?
So what we'll do is it will go out in the following email, which will come out early part of next week.
Oh, okay.
There'll be a link to that, and we'll also link to VocalEyes, NFB, and to Travel Hands as well, and obviously anything else that we've spoken about today.
That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I hope you all have a lovely weekend or a lovely rest of a Saturday. Enjoy what you're doing, and we hope to catch up with you in March. It is the third, I should have checked the date actually, so it will be the third Saturday in March. And by May, we'll start looking for venues, and hopefully we'll have a face-to-face meeting.
Thank you. We've just had a hand up from Stephen.
Hi, Stephen. Hi, Stephen.
He is muted.
You might have a message pop up on
Offline
your...
and separately.
Oh, okay. All right.
19th of March is the next meeting.
What date was that, Sandra?
19th.
19th of March. Okay, so we'll have 19th of March as the next meeting, and then May we'll start looking out for venues. And again, if anyone has any thoughts, suggestions, please do get in touch with Retina UK, and yeah, look forward to planning May, where we can all be in the same room as each other and not virtually.
Excellent.
Stephen's just put in the chat, can the meeting recordings be downloaded? But they'll be sent in an email, and you'll be able to click on the link, and that's how you'll access them, right?
It will link to an audio file on YouTube.
Okay, that's fine. Hope that answers your question, Stephen. If not, feel free to put something in the chat again, or give the charity a call on Monday, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Oh, okay, that's great. Thank you, Steve. All right, take care, everyone, and have a lovely weekend. Bye.
Thanks very much.
Bye. Thanks. Bye, everyone. Bye.
We hope you have enjoyed this recording. If you have any questions, queries, or wish to leave any feedback, then please leave it in the comment section below. Alternatively, you can send your inquiries to info@retinauk.org.uk. Contact us via the telephone on 01280 821 334 or call our helpline on 0300 111 4000, which is open Monday to Friday 9:30 AM to 9:30 PM. If you would like to know more about our local peer groups, when your next meeting will be held, or if you wish to get involved in creating your own group, or would like to know more about our services that Retina UK provides, then please visit our information and support page on our website www.retinauk.org.uk and navigate to our local peer group page. Thanks again for listening. We hope to see you again soon. Take care and bye for now.